Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Hello, dear friend Akie Bamis, how are you?
Whoa, such a elaborate hello, dear friend Stevie Mans. How are you?
I'm well. Delighted to be talking about Star Trek and all of its glory with you.
And all of its glory. And we just experienced a pretty great episode of Star Trek. It had everything.
Oh, yeah. Had the no-win scenario. We got out of it. But are we out of it?
Indeed. How out of it have we got?
From the frying pan to the fire.
Into the beautiful jellyfish birthing area.
Baby.
All right. Okay. Well, hey there, listener. You're listening to Set Phasers, a highly illogical, if you couldn't tell already, Star Trek podcast. Today, we're talking about Season 3 of Picard, the final season. Season 3, Episode 4, entitled No-Win Scenario.
Today's stardate, incidentally, is stardate 234311.4.
And gosh, things are really heating up at long last here in wherever we are. Not the Delta Quadrant, we're just outside Federation space. Maybe we're still in the Alpha Quadrant. I don't know. Before we get into the show, though, we got to handle a little business.
Yes. Are you missing Star Trek nerds from your life? Are you missing raps about dogs? Are you missing cooking shows? Well, my rap about my dog.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Well, join us on Patreon, where we at Set Phasers will come together with you. We will be part of our community. We will make friends. We will break bread together, and generally just be good chums on Patreon. So please do join us. We have a Zoom hang, I think, next week on Sunday.
The week after.
The 25th of March. It's the last Sunday in March. That's what we're going for, prior to Easter and all that fun stuff. So join us, patreon.com/setphasers, where you can come and join and be friends with us on patreon.com/setphasers.
Pew, pew, pew.
Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, 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 pew. You two, come on. You've done
Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, pew. There we go.
Okay, well, I guess with that, it's time to run it down.
Yes.
Yeah. It's time to run it down. Can you run it down for me? Talk about Picard now. Run it down for me.
Star Trek Picard.
Star Trek Picard. You know what? I am constantly caught unawares by that and also impressed, even though I know it's me and it's sort of solipsistic, that it switches to the TNG theme. Okay, let's talk about this episode entitled No-Win Scenario. A little micro Kobayashi Maru for this, the too many cooks? There's too many captains on this ship. There's too many captains, former captains, and soon-to-be captains, but they all have to find a way to work together because, as you remember, the end of the last episode, they were fighting the Shrike inside this nebula that maybe isn't a nebula, and then Riker wanted to run, and Picard wanted Riker to fight, and then they were at the moment of no return, and Riker decided to fight, but then the Shrike used their weird, wormhole anus technology to have what they fired fire on them. And then the ship was disabled and falling into the gravity well of this nebula. So this nebula has a gravity well. They're flying away. And the Shrike and Captain Vadic take off. But Riker's upset. He says, "You did this to us. Get off my bridge." Well, we begin episode 4 with a flashback. A flashback, the well to which we will return several times this episode. It's basically Picard 5 years ago on a different Frontier Day, because this is all supposed to be happening around Frontier Day, trying to eat some fish and chips, it seems like, in the 10 Forward bar in America, or wherever Guinan's bar is terrestrially. And he gets sort of surrounded by cadets who discover that he's there, and they pin him with questions. They're like, well, tell us about this thing, tell us about that thing. And then he basically says, what matters is if you really trust your crew and your team, then you're never completely out of options. You're never completely out of hope. And with that, we go back to the ship falling through the nebula, losing power. The engines are all screwed up. The life support is down. They're out of energy. What are they going to do? They only have so much power. Riker basically is on the bridge, and he decides they just got to pull off a light. They can either do life support, or they can try to do some sort of ship's maneuvering stuff. Basically, he puts everything into life support. They give them a few hours. Maybe they'll be saved. And he has all the crew gather in collected places and stop using any non-essential stuff. There's another one of those flashes from the nebula that kind of hits the ship and causes all the lights to go crazy. And so they have to lower the shields. Otherwise, that whole reaction is going to cause the ship to blow up. And so that's the whole scene. And then Riker actually goes to Picard. This is a weird reversal. And he just immediately says, he tells him what the deal is. And then he's like, you know what? You're right. We should have fought before. And he explains this whole weird. So now we get Riker's weird psychological thing, right? His like, he doesn't believe there's anything after death, basically.
Yes, I think so.
He says there's nothing after, and it caused him to be basically a drag, and Deanna could feel it. You could like feel that emotion. And so he thought he would get away from her so she wouldn't have to feel it. And basically he's like, so what I would suggest you do with the next 3 hours, get to know your son. Meanwhile, 7 of 9 still on the hunt for this. Are you going to...
Well, I mean...
Sometimes I say 7 of 9 and I see your eyebrows go and I go...
She went like, well, to be fair, 7 does something really exciting in this episode, so we could use it then.
We could use it then. Honestly. So anyway, 7 of 9, get excited. This whole show has got like kind of things are building. So still looking for that changeling we discovered was on board. Does find the room of the dead transport officer, finds his body, reports this to Riker. It's like, this guy's been dead since before Jack came on. So this changeling was in position before Jack was there, which is an interesting thing to think about. And this did make room. I know this is not necessarily the time for tinfoil, but remember that guy was watching Riker and Picard in the bar in the first episode?
Yeah.
Changeling?
Ooh, good call.
I don't know. Anyway, Riker's like, okay, this could really blow things up. Even though we're all about to die and we only have 3 hours, he's like, I think staying in a non-official capacity could be better. So he basically gives 7, she gets to be like a Fenris Ranger on Titan. She's basically like, I'm going to hunt down a little. Anyway, I loved it. I wanted the whole episode to be 7 hunts down a criminal on the beleaguered decks of the USS Titan. So she's trying to track him down. Meanwhile, Beverly is doing what Beverly does, figuring out that the flashes are not random, starts counting them down. Picard takes an opportunity to talk to his son, Jack. And they go to the holodeck, which apparently runs on its own little battery, at least for the purpose of this episode. Otherwise, there couldn't be a holodeck.
Yeah, and in the history of Star Trek, I have never heard this explanation.
Yeah, it was first surprisingly like, oh yeah, the ship is falling apart. We only have enough energy to put for 4 hours of life support, but the holodeck runs on its own little battery, so we can drink fake whiskey in this bar.
It was a little bit jumping the shark.
No, it's a bit of a shark jump. But it is a cute place for them to have all the action that happens in the hall. Anyway, Picard and Jack talk, and they start sharing each other's, stories from each other. And Jack is not a wine guy, so they have whiskey. Meanwhile, 7 goes to Shaw for help trying to find this changeling because she, as much as she hates to admit it, he knows more about this crew than anyone else. Shaw is in a dark place. He's like sharpening a knife with his like leg bandaged up in his cane. But he does learn about the changeling and then is able to help 7 sort of figure out how you would track down a changeling. And he tells her about the pot, the little pot they have to go into because they can't keep their solid form. Beverly continues to, we get this like flashes of Beverly doing the countdown. Seven's looking for the pot. The Shrike. Ooh, this is a creepy part. So that's all happening on the ship. And I think there's a period where, anyway, no, because we'll do this in order, because we go to the Shrike and we see Captain Vatic contact their boss.
By cutting off their hand in a well of something.
Like cutting off their hand in a juicy well, and then a weird liquid bone meat thing comes up and speaks to her and says, you got to go back. You're all expendable. I want you to obtain and deliver the asset. So pursue, no matter what it does to your ship. And even if you have to get rid of your sweet Daystrom wormhole anus weapon. So one thing here. So you never watched Deep Space Nine.
I did not.
So you never really saw changelings. I was wondering if this is it. So when they did in Deep Space Nine, the changelings turned into like a gold soup. Looks like broth. Looks like a cute gelatin broth. It's not meat juice like we keep seeing in this.
Okay, so we're saying these are like that meat thing was not a changeling?
That freaked me out. I didn't realize. So then later, Seven was tracking down, is caught by the changeling and shoots the changeling, and then the changeling turns into juice, and the juice is all meat juice. Meat looks like weird liquid fat meat. So I'm guessing the changelings are this now, or these are different kinds of changelings. I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
It's much more. The other changelings like turned into like a clear liquid, and it was very clean and fine. This looks like whatever they turn into now smells terrible.
Well, yes, but from what I've seen, the meat hand thing was not the changeling.
The meat hand thing.
Like when we saw the changelings die or change, it didn't look like the same thing to me.
Didn't it?
No.
I thought when the changeling goes up into the circuitry, it looks sort of like liquid flesh.
It looked like liquid flesh, but did you think that was what the blah thing was? The meat head?
That's a totally different thing. That Vatic, who maybe is a change, has to be a changeling, I guess, if they cut off their hand, can talk to somebody. Like, that's very Star Wars. Like, just the part of the face of the big bad is now liquid flesh floating.
It was definitely something that we've not really seen in Trek before.
No, it was super weird. I'm not saying I didn't like it. And then she then, like, joyfully, psychotically starts singing as they go back into the nebula to hunt their prey. But anyways, that's a curious thing for those of us who have dealt with changelings, that these changelings are not the kind we know. So yes, Seven does find that changeling, and they fight, and then the changeling jumps up into the circuitry and takes off. There's a little bit more of the flashback, and Picard gets asked about his time with Jack Crusher, his bestie, for when they were on the Stargazer and when they stuck on a shuttle together, because they were both, trying to go to the planet to do some Kirk-style stuff. And so he actually tells that whole story to Jack in 10 Forward. Yeah.
Tinfoil. So there's a part in his story where he's like, yeah, we were basically just going to pick up women.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a part of this story that's going to come out where he and Jack met Beverly at the same time?
Ooh.
And Picard went off and did something else and missed out on Beverly? What do you think?
I mean, that would be heartbreaking. Possible. It's very possible.
And then it brings back the story of like they were meant for each other.
Yeah.
Like the sort of paths that diverged and then
I agree
back.
with you that they were very vague about what was going on there. I wonder, like, he didn't say everything else. He's very like, we were going to this, doing to that. And he's like, oh, we were going to see these two ladies on this planet or whatever. And then we had to go back. So then we borrowed a shuttle to go back. And then the shuttle got jacked up. So yeah, could be Beverly. But why was Beverly on Argelius 4?
Well, I'm not saying that was Beverly, but I'm saying if those two are friends, that obviously if that was pre-Beverly and Jack.
Oh, yeah. That makes total sense. Yeah. Yeah. They must have met Beverly at the same time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he describes the experience of having to fly the shuttle back blind with no sensors, having to split the energy between the thrusters and the whatever else. And it took 10 hours, and they're afraid they'd never make it, and they had to inch out, and they had to do it. As this is happening, we finally get the backstory for Shaw. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, really?
Well, to me.
Okay.
Yes, turns out Shaw was on the USS Constance, the stardate 44002.3, which many of us will know as the Battle of Wolf 359, when Locutus of Borg took on an entire Federation armada and basically destroyed everybody before his crew was able to save him. So we find out that Shaw was just a grease monkey, so to speak. And that 50 people made it down to the lifeboat. It's the usual story. There were only 10 seats. They didn't fight over the seats. They waited for orders because they were Starfleet. And some lieutenant showed up and started picking people at random. And he was the 10th person. And the other 40 people had to stay. And they all died at Wolf 359. And he says, quote, "I'm just some dipshit from Chicago, but I got to live." And he wonders why. And then Jack interrupts him. And Picard's like, "No, it's all right. I get it. I should go." And Picard leaves. Jack follows. And they run into Beverly in the hallway. Beverly's like, "Hey, there's a pattern. This ain't just some nebula. Guess what? It's a womb. Womb.
It's not Woomba. Womb.
I know, but
Womb.
Suddenly when I'm trying to say it out loud, it sounds womb.
Womb.
Does that sound right?
Womb.
It's a womb.
Silent B. Womb.
It's a silent B.
Womb.
You get it. I'm not asking for whom does the bell toll. I'm saying
For womb.
this nebula is a for whom does the bell toll. Yeah, she's like, look, it's taking matter in and creating energy, but that means that the matter is being reconstituted, which means that there's the gravity well means that there's matter somewhere at the center of this thing, and it's growing because it's pulling things down, and so that is an issue. It's like contractions. So they go find Riker, and they hatch this plan with Riker, which is like to use the waves that come out to fuel the ship to fly away to get out, like just a perfect TNG wrap up the episode, the last 12 minutes kind of plan. But Riker's like, "I don't know, man. I don't know if we can do it." He was trying to send a message to Deanna in case they all died on the ship and the ship was recovered. There'd be a message for her. And he's feeling like this is like much more like throwing themselves into the jaws of death, which again, he's having some issues with. But Jack and Beverly and Picard managed to win him over. Beverly specifically saying that Deanna would say it comes down to trust. And if you trust us, you would know that we could do this. And then Riker's like, "You know what? We could channel that energy straight into the warp core and then we could go to warp." And they're like, "Okay, let's do it." But then Picard and Seven have to go to Shaw because they realize that he's the only one that can like hotwire the nacelles so that they can overload, so that they can feed the warp core, so that they can go to warp, which means everyone's working together. Captains, commanders, admirals, Jack, Beverly's. It's just everyone coming together here in this no-win scenario, you would think. And so you got Riker on the bridge with everybody. You got Picard, you got Jack, you got Beverly. Seven and Shaw go down to engineering to jury rig this nacelle situation. They need an old grease monkey in order to do this hot wiring of the nacelles. While there, Seven and Shaw realize, this would be a perfect time. If I was a changeling and I realized that everything hinged on this would be the perfect time for me to attack. So they calm something to Riker, and then we don't really get to see what it is because obviously it's a cool thing. And we see that on the bridge. Riker gives the con to Picard, he's got the experience flying blind. He's gonna tell LaForge what to do. LaForge is in front. And it's all like things are happening. They're gonna catch that wave and they're gonna try to fly out of this place. Shaw's trying to get the covers off. He gets one off, and then who should walk into engineering to try and help him as Seven walks away? But Ensign LaForge. "Oh, hey, my father was Geordie LaForge. I can help you."
Now, I thought the changeling had to kill the person.
No.
Okay. They just happened to have killed all the people that they were impersonating before. Okay.
The changeling only has to see, I think, maybe one time or something, or like touch it maybe. I forget what it is, but they don't have to kill them at all. This is just, they killed the engineer. Did they kill the other? We don't know about the other.
Yes. Well, there was at least another person who died who was being impersonated. So, yeah.
I mean, tinfoil that I now know is not true. I thought maybe it was going to be Shaw. Anyway, the point is, we all know, the viewer, LaForge is the changeling. But there's like a test they have to do. Usually you have to ask it a question. If it doesn't know something very simple, then you know it's the changeling. That's how you can tell. It's the only way you can tell, because they mimic the voice and the shape and the look of the person. Their mannerisms perfectly. So 7 gets this LaForge at gunpoint and says, "What's my name?" And this LaForge answers, "Commander Hansen," which of course we know
Sucks to be you.
LaForge doesn't do, because she always refers to her as
Commander 7.
Commander 7, and that's when pew 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 7 kills the changeling. Is that when we're gonna drop the song?
Yeah,
I was trying to set you up.
oh, thanks.
Wait, isn't
Yes,
that?
let's play the song.
She's 7 of 9. 7 of 9. She's 7 of 9. 7 of 9.
It's 7 of 9.
It's 7 of 9. That's how I always feel
Why are
like
you
I must have been
panting?
at the
That's
end of that.
creepy.
Like I had just done like a figure skating routine of just waiting for the challenges.
Yes, but when it's just audio, it's going to sound weird.
You're right. Touche. I'm so sorry. My apologies. So 7 takes out this changeling, bada bing, bada boom. Shaw gets the covers off the second nacelle. They get hit by the wave. They're navigating through the asteroids. There are some asteroids coming up right in front, so Picard has Jack call out the position so that he can call out the maneuvers to LaForce, do it all going blind. Thrusters get to 98%. Yes, thrusters get to 98%. That's not enough, even though the wave is finished. So Riker makes the bold move of deciding to transfer all power from life support into the thrusters to get it up to hopefully 100%. They're in the wave. They get hit. Boom! Power comes back. They've got what they need. Picard tells LaForge to gun it. She says they can hit warp in 90 seconds. The nebula is changing internally. And then they see the Shrike dead ahead. And Vadic recites some crazy Wrath of Khan style poetry as she sees her prey in her sights. But Riker's now got his groove back, so as they're flying forward with momentum, he has them use the tractor beam to grab the asteroids they just flew past and fling them ballistically at the Shrike, which knocks the Shrike into a serious free fall of its own. And then Vadic is like, I can't. They're like, everything's screwed up. It's going to take an hour to fix. Maybe they fall to their death, or maybe they are too hardy to die. They are, after all, quasi-changelings. The nebula breaks up. The ship is pushed out. The Shrike is in the rear view. We get to see a beautiful space jellyfish just as everyone arrives to the bridge. So you got everyone, including cranky old dipshit from Chicago. Another great line.
So good.
Another great line for Captain Shaw. Yeah. Gets there and to seek out new life, Beverly says. And then Riker says, I think we should boldly get the hell out of here. And they go to war. And then just a final little epilogue. We get our final flashback, and we see that when Picard was holding court while his haddock, right, got cold, he was questioned by a stranger at the bar with a hat low over their eyes, some British boy, some young man, who said, "What about a real family?" And Picard answered, "Young man, Starfleet has been the only family I ever needed." Turns out that young man was Jack Crusher. Yeah, I couldn't tell from their meaningful, extremely long eye contact if they suddenly both knew that, or if Picard was remembering it, or if they were just looking at each other because they hadn't died. But whatever. Riker talks to Troy. Very tearful moment. It's very sweet. Where Riker's like, I've been in a bad place, but I'm going to come out of it because I remembered, what this whole thing is about. Picard does an admiral's log, and everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's it. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Peace. Oh, wait. No. Oh, that's right. Jack looks in the mirror and has a crazy vision of flesh on the walls and a red door opening and a voice screaming, "Find me." Yeah, so everything's cool. Here ended. What a crazy ending. Let's chat about that.
I say, darling, let's do a quick chat about that.
Yes, let's do.
So, space babies.
Oh my god, space babies. Yeah, little space squids. And cephalopods in space. I do.
Spacey,
cute.
spacey squids.
And they all go, oh, new kinds of life. This nebula gave birth to protect us. I don't know. There's a lot to. I mean, the thing I'm focused on primarily is we finally get this backstory for Shaw, which is why he hates Picard and Riker so much, is because he lost so many friends, 11,000 dead at Wolf 359. I mean, I get it, but I mean, come on, it's Starfleet, bro. You got to be more enlightened than that. You got, if you're going to be captain, you can't be like, you know. But I get it. It's the driving force of a lot of people's futures in Starfleet was that they were survivors of Wolf 359. So that's just too bad. And it's like Picard's demons continue to hound him. You would think people would be like, well, you know, he was taken over by the Borg. I wonder, tinfoil time, does this mean we're going to see a Borg queen?
Don't know.
We've got Borgatti out there somewhere.
We do, but I don't think Alison Cole will reprise her role, and we know that the Borg Queen sadly has passed.
It's true.
So,
I mean,
I would imagine not.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, fair enough. How many Borg Queens have been played? We've had
four
if
you count
Queens?
Alison Pill.
Yeah. Well, not counting them anyway. But yes. So I don't know. I wouldn't bet on that one.
All right, listen. Tinfoil is a safe space where anything can happen. Lorca could show up. Okay?
Lorca is never showing up.
Lorca could show up, Stevie. Don't crush my dreams. Okay?
I've been crushing your dreams since 2021.
it's true. Stop with this Lorca business. I mean, what else to say about this episode? I'm creeped out about the changelings, and I'm wondering if that's like a change, like how they change how Klingons look, or if this is a different kind of changeling that's kind of somehow grosser than the changelings.
Time will tell.
Here's the thing about changelings. When they are in their natural state, they're not humanoid. They hang out in a big lake of changeling juice. But it's not, that's what I'm saying. It's not the weird changeling juice from this episode of Picard. It looks like a mead or something. It looks like a honey. It looks like honey. So then they all like, ooh, I'm joining the Great Lake, and they go swirl together in the big honey pool. And that's how they live, unless they decide they want to go out.
That sounds like a very unhygienic bath.
Well, but they're made of, the point is, no one wants to hang out in a big pool of pink meat. What do they call the stuff? Remember when McDonald's was in trouble a couple years ago for what they made their McNuggets out of? I think it was called pink slime.
I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, that's what these changes look like to me. Pink slime. That's it. I don't know. Jack, something's going on with Jack's head.
Oh, why is Jack the asset? What is the asset that's about Jack? Is he carrying something? Like maybe he's been injected with something and he's like a host? I don't know.
Did he mind meld with somebody? It's like a weird for him to be like seeing the weird veins on the wall and the red door. Seems very red, makes me think Vulcan, but that's my own bias because of Vulcan itself. But I don't know. It's not something it's not something Beverly seems to know. This seems to be a secret.
Shall we go to Easter eggs?
Yeah, let's go to Easter eggs. As always, we come directly to the set Phasers desk. We go directly to Stevie Man's outside with Easter eggs. Stevie, how are you today?
Well, hi there, Akie. Hi there, how are you doing? I'm coming to you live from the set of Star Trek Picard, episode 4, entitled A No-Win Scenario. We have several Easter eggs today, starting with, of course, the title, No-Win Scenario.
This, of course, refers to the Kobayashi Maru, first introduced in The Wrath of Khan. Interestingly, this is the third episode of a new Star Trek series to reference this in an episode titled In the Past 2 Years.
Ooh.
Fun fact. You need to record that, please.
I will.
In Discovery season 4, the premiere was in fact called Kobayashi Maru, while the 6th episode of Prodigy in early 2022 was called Kobayashi. So not super recent, but still.
Interesting.
We're going with that.
Okay.
Now, when we went into 10 forward, there's a plethora of Easter eggs just dotted around for us to find, you eagle-eyed beads. Introduced in season 2, this version of 10 forward it's brimming with Easter eggs. So we see a model of the Enterprise C. We see a photo of Picard and Guinan from Generations. A photo of an Andorian in an original series uniform. A publicity still of Whoopi as Guinan from The Next Generation, actually, and a sign for Frontier Day. And this could indicate that the celebration might occur every 5 years, that it's not annual.
Right.
So, that's what makes it a bit more special. We celebrate it every 5 years. Who knows? Metalis 4, we had another little joke from Metalis. Jack tells Jean-Luc a story about Metalis 4, which he says was a real dump. This is one of the many references to showrunner Terry Metalis throughout the series, and of course Metalis Prime is the crime-ridden planet, which we joked about for the first 3 episodes. Now, did you spot Odo?
No, I didn't see Odo. Where's Odo?
Odo, so Shaw gives 7 the lowdown on the limits of the shapeshifters, and on the pad Shaw hands 7 we see a changeling report, which also shows a picture of Obo, Rene...
Auberjois.
Thank you. From Deep Space Nine. Oh, I was like Auberjonois.
Auberjois. Oh, now I can't do it. Auberjois. Yep.
René.
I can only do it the one time. René. Yeah.
Did you ever watch Allo Allo?
No.
It's a British show from, I'm gonna say it's the 1970s, and it's about It's bizarre that to make it sound like a sitcom, it's really hard to explain. So it's about, it's set in France during the Second World War, and it's about the sort of French resistance.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know, and I think it's with French, and obviously it's all these British people doing it with the French accent, and it's René, oui, René, and then you've got the German people. It's like, it's fine, it's fine.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just British people doing French and German accents. It's very fun, but to make a sitcom out of it is from a German and French resistance thing. It's bonkers. But yes, whenever I hear René, I'm like René.
It looks like I'll be looking up.
Oh, please do. He was a cafe owner, and they were always trying to smuggle. I think it was a painting of the Mona Lisa with the big boobies or something. Yeah, I know. It's whatever. And, I think because the Nazis were stealing art. Yes. I don't know. Anyway, space babies at Farpoint.
Oh, yes. You mentioned Far. I didn't. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, Dr. Crusher determines the nebula is full of space-dwelling alien life forms. She points out that this is not the first time they've encountered creatures like this, and Picard says, Farpoint! Referencing the giant space jellyfish in the very first episode of The Next Generation encounter at Farpoint. Yes. So that was quite fun. And I just love that he went, Farpoint!
Yeah, he just goes, Farpoint!
Farpoint! Admiral's log. Now, Jean-Luc closes the episode, as we know, with a voiceover, his Admiral's log. This is the first time he's done it in the entirety of Picard's series. We've heard a log-style voiceover from Patrick Stewart since, I think it was the last one was in Nemesis, and the episode concludes with a tease about deeper mysteries concerning Jack Crusher. But for now, the first 4 episodes of the season feel very much like a conclusion of one long, action-packed Next Generation, which I am loving. It just feels like a movie of a Next Generation episode. It just continues. It's like 10 movies. I love it.
So that's everything here from the Easter egg deck here at Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 4. It's back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much. And I like that we have decks now. It makes me feel like we're on a ship.
If you listen to the episode, we have the bridge hum. So
that's
it feels,
right.
If you're listening to this, you have that experience. And by the way, do it on headphones.
You got to immerse yourself, which makes me think maybe I should do more of a Stevie. Tell us what the Easter eggs are. That was my shatter. It's not good.
That's pretty good.
Shall we move on to quotable moments, please? Put me out of my
let's
misery.
do-
Quotable moments.
What do you have?
Oh, it starts with, that's a beautiful quote right in the beginning. There will be a time when you will need to remember, no matter how bleak or unwinnable a situation, as long as you and your crew remain steadfast in your dedication one to another, you are never, ever without hope. Meaningful. Shaw about the changelings. He says, they're goo people, walking, talking, clay dough. He really is a dipshit from Chicago, even though he's a captain.
Yes, he is.
That's a very brusque. But maybe he's, he does also say, after he interrupts Picard and he yells at him about Wolf 359, and that's when everyone else is in the holodeck and Picard's left and everyone's sort of standing there quietly, feeling awkward. He says, forgive me, at some point asshole became substitute for charm. So he's self-aware now.
Yes, I had that one too.
What have you got?
I had a nice little TNG moment. And Beverly says, Will, did you just throw an asteroid? And he goes, goddamn right I did.
Yes. Goddamn right I did.
Goddamn right I did. Very.
Riker.
Yeah, I'm Riker. Oh, that could be your new song. I'm Riker. I'm Riker.
I'm Riker. Sounds like I might need a production of a little. I recently heard this dog rap. It's pretty much the right kind of production I might need for the Riker song.
Oh, do you want to hear? We can play the dog rap if you like.
I think we should save that for the end.
What end?
I don't know. Where do
we're
we
close to
put
the
in this
end.
dog rap? We have to. Let me do one more quote.
All right.
Jack saying, when Jack is like, here's how we're going to do this plan, he says, we match the speed of the wave, use the energy drawn from it, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. We hightail it out of the nebula, away from the gravity well, away from the ship out there, and away from our new friends, the space babies. I like it.
Very good.
Oh, we got to give props to Vatic. Chase fast enough, hunt well enough, open your jaw wide enough, and eventually the prey runs right into the mouth of the beast. Right before her ship gets hit with the aforementioned asteroid.
Asteroid. Oh, I thought, never mind. Okay, fine.
What?
So it was a joke, like, get kicked in the ass.
Okay.
Asteroid.
I
thought it was an ass joke.
I don't typically make such crude jokes. As you may know, I am...
Above all that.
I'm above all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm above
Fine.
all that. I don't improve into... Okay, well, are we going to go to next time, or are we going to go to dog rap?
Well, we could go to dog rap if you want. Or should we
Let's
keep
go-
it for a...
No, let's go to dog rap.
All right, so last week, if you listened to the episode, I told Akie, for some particular reason, I don't really know how this
Me
came up,
either.
that I had created a little rap for my dog, and it was purely just for funsies. And I said I was going to sing it for him, and we've got to do it during the episode. Now, between then and now, I have had a bit of time on my hands, and I thought, I'll just make a little rap out of it. So here it is. This is I'm calling it Frankie's Rap.
Step. That's great.
I'm a black dog. I'm a fat dog. I'm a snuggle under blankets for a nap dog. I'm a hot dog. Yeah. I'm a long dog. Yeah. I'm a give me all the snacks in the pack dog. It's Frankie.
What do you think?
I heard it. I think it's great. I think it's top notch.
Thank you. My wife was so jealous, and she was like, "Can I get a line?" And I was like, "Okay, we'll have you." She goes at the end. It's Frankie.
Oh,
It's Frankie. That's Katie.
Oh, yeah. Someone changed their tune from "This is the whitest thing I've ever heard" to "Can I get on the track?"
Can I get in on this?
Can
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
Can I get a little shine on the track?
Aha. Well, that is the extent of the musical. My musical prowess on this show. You are the genius, and I would love to hear a Riker song.
You want to hear a Riker song? We need
Yeah.
a fun fact to sting.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's Riker.
It's Riker.
It's Riker. Yeah. There you go.
I'll see what
You're
I can
welcome.
do.
You're welcome.
Let's go to next time.
Next time on Set Phasers.
Next time, we'll be talking about episode 5 of season 3 of Star Trek Picard, entitled Imposters. I wonder if it has to do with changelings. It probably does. Yeah,
Interesting.
that's my guess, right? Probably, like, I bet this goes all the way to the top, as you might say.
Indeed,
All
indeed.
these just changeling people.
Yes.
If you enjoyed the episode,
Yes, please subscribe and check out our websites and our Instagram. And don't forget, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/setphasers, where we said we will be doing our patron hang at the end of this month. That's patreon.com/setphasers.
you're going to like the way you feel. You can find our podcast wherever you get your podcast sold. We've covered every new episode of new Star Trek, starting with the original episodes of Star Trek Discovery and running down through everything except Prodigy, which we might do now. Also, now that I've heard they have an episode called Kobayashi, I have to check it out myself.
Well, that's it from us. I am Stevie Mans.
And I'm not saying do nothing. I'm saying keep it quiet. And this has been Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Computer. End program.